Okay. Welcome to the Carroll Community Center Building Committee meeting of September 10th, 2025. My name is Dick Malcolm, and I'm chair of the Building Committee. Following the guidance issued by the state in 2020 regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely, and individuals wishing to participate may do so by utilizing Zoom video conference technology. To join the meeting by video conferencing using a computer, tablet, or phone, please refer to the Town of Dover website. So I will first do a roll call of committee members present. Are you present? David Billings,
Yes.
Ruth Townsend,
Yes.
Barry Goldman.
Yes.
Okay, and Luciana Berti, I do not see on my screen, but that gives us a quorum. Okay, first order of business is approval of the minutes of August, from our meeting on August 12th, 2025. Is there discussion?
Can I just make a note that I'm listed as attending and Luciana is absent, and I think that might need to be the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I had those mixed up. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion on the minutes?
No.
Okay, I would like to make a motion then to approve the meeting minutes of August 12th, 2025, with the amendments that Ruth just mentioned. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, are you in favor? David Billings,
Yes.
Ruth Townsend,
Can I say aye as I wasn't actually at the meeting?
Actually, you'd have to abstain.
Yeah. Abstaining.
Okay, thank you for your discussion comments. And Barry Goldman.
I'll say aye,
Okay.
even though I wasn't there.
Okay, well, then I'm a yes, so that gives us the,
That gets us the approval.
okay, so that gets us through the minutes. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Trey from Collier's Project Leaders to start taking us through construction progress, schedule, budget, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. So I showing here August progress. So we did have the big sod install, as well as we had some foundation painting, which was approved in previous meetings. This was the white fieldstone, as well as an HVAC unit that was all painted. Building interior wise, we are
Are
working.
you sharing?
David?
I see you. I don't see
No,
anything
I
else.
don't see anything shared.
Oh, shoot. Okay, let me see if this works. Can you see it now?
There we go.
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
My
Thank
apologies. I thought I had that up already. Okay, so again, site-wise, sod install and the foundation painting that just mentioned. Interior-wise, M. O'Connor is still working through punch list items. And then moving into September, we have the ribbon cutting ceremony this Saturday, September 13th at 10:30 a.m. As well as we will make sure that the punch list is being completed in this month. That's construction progress. I'll share some photos here. So 8/18 was when they had pretty much wrapped up full sod prep and de-weeding of the area, which moved into 9/4, where you can see the remainder of the sod has been installed, as well as a scrim fence around for pedestrians and peoples to stay off of it while it established. So that goes on pretty much throughout the site here. On this far right one, you do see a vacant area, and this was called out for hydroseed. This is additional parking. So sod was not installed in that area, but it is hydroseeded.
Okay.
And-
Well, okay.
More sod install. I think it turned out great. It looks awesome. And they have temp irrigation in place. Actually, I'll go back. As you can see in the back right corner here, we have our water tanks and pumps for the temp irrigation system. Any question on construction progress from anybody?
What is the, I guess, warranty on the hydro-seeded area? How is that different from the sod and how are we gonna get that established?
Well, it's watered, and again, this David, this is temp additional parking, so the sod, you can't really. It's
Well,
1 year though, to answer your question.
okay. Yeah, but we've got a utility transformer right in the middle of where. there was
Yeah,
no
that's actually
parking.
gravelled around that area, David.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no sod, no grass or anything around that area. That has 3/4 stone all sprinkled around that whole transformer area.
I don't know if you've ever discussed this before, but is there a reason for the, I think it's a transformer, to be so close to the basketball court?
Yeah, so this is for the EV chargers, and the meter has been installed on that. So that's what that Katie, am I wrong on that? I
Yep, sorry,
apologize.
Trey. No, I didn't want to interrupt. You're spot on. So the
Yeah.
that additional one has to be near where the EV parking is.
Okay, it's a little close to the basketball court. I think there
Yeah,
may
it's
be a
very
problem
close.
with somebody running into it.
Barry, and you bring up a good point. So we talked about this in our last building committee meeting, and we had approved additional fencing to go around that. So in that instance, you are not running into the transformer. There will be fence around that area.
Yeah, there's not much room for a fence,
Yeah,
a couple of feet, actually.
Yep.
So, I hope the fence, is sufficient to stop somebody without injury.
Yep, it'll be black chain link.
Okay. Does that have some flexibility to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Normal chain link fence does, yeah. It won't be
Or the
rigid.
posts are.
Well, yeah, the posts aren't. The mesh is.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Of course.
Dick, do you mind if I just make a quick comment?
No, not at all.
The town of Dover, in compliance with the state, has just entered a stage 1 drought condition, and we will be declaring that on Wednesday of next week. And the rest of the state is in stage 2, so we're actually one of the least affected. If everyone on this committee, and if anyone asks, that water has been brought in from outside sources, it is not affecting our aquifer, and that we need to do this to establish the grass despite the drought conditions. Being on the sustainability committee, it would not surprise me if this question came up. So we're all just going to toe the same line, which is it's not our water. It's been brought in to make sure that the sod lives. Otherwise, we got to do this whole darn process again. So just thank you for hearing me out. But I'm reading my emails and going, I better connect these dots and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Thank you, David, for bringing us up to speed on that.
And I just wanted to ask about the remaining punch list, and will this be done taking into account that the community centre is going to be open and have a lot of activities ongoing? It's not going to get in the way of those?
So it'll be a fine line that we walk through. Everything will be coordinated with the staff, making sure that contractors are aware that it's open. And everyone needs to plan around the activities around the center, not the other way around.
All right, good. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Along those lines, Dick, are you all set for the grand opening? And do you need anything from the town, or are you good?
From my understanding, from what is that we are all good. Things are organized. Ruth, I know you've been more involved in this than I have been, and Mark, I know, has been kind of spearheading it as well. As far as I know, we're good. Ruth, is there anything else that you can think of that we?
No, I think Mark's got it all in hand. It's going to be from 10:30 till 11. There's going to be, I know he mentioned the selectman saying something. I think the representative of Norfolk would be saying something, of Dover and Needham as well. Denise Garlick's replacement.
Josh Tarski?
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. And then Dick, I think you'll be saying something. Is that right?
I'll be saying a few words. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there'll be the ribbon cutting, and then I think people are going to be going inside, just into the community room, and then there's going to be tours going. So it's not going to be kind of everybody just spilling into the community centre and being able to go around themselves. There'll be specific tours that are going to be led by myself and the community centre students.
Sounds like a great event.
And then, yeah, tying it all into Dover Days, and then there'll be tours as well on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then lots of free events and things going on, free classes and things going on, trial classes during the next week.
Well, I'm just going to say this as the first of many, and that's to thank everyone on this committee, because you guys have been through hell and back, and now we get to look, and since it's right on the screen, look at the picture, to look at that green within the building, and I do believe that the painting has also been done in that picture, and so to see kind of a final product is well, I'm at a loss for words, and that's hard to do, ladies and gentlemen. So I just would like to say thank you.
This is my favorite part of construction, when sod is laid down and you have that contrast between building and landscape. It always pops.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a good looking building. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your comment, David.
We hope we'll see everybody on this call at the opening on Saturday.
All right. Any other further questions on construction progress? If not, we'll move on to budget. Okay. Moving on to budget. So bottom line here, we are still showing a remaining balance of 781K. One thing I will point out is this unpaid, this 1.57, this is calculating withholdings and everything that we still have not paid out. So that's that number. Another thing I'll point out is architect. We have, this is showing 38K. I just got the invoice from FMA. So this number is actually down to like 26K currently. So at the next, you'll see that this has been reduced. Project management, these are just a few invoices that have hit the budget block. We are completely billed out as of this month and out of fee. Not to say that we won't continue our services for the town. We'll get you to the finish line for sure, but just wanted to mention that.
And you have
again,
a negative 46,000 in.
yeah, it's so there's a 36K amendment that we had in here that it was a not to exceed. You know, that this is a wrong number.
Okay.
This is zero. The 36K and plus a few other expenditures is equaling that, but that should be a zero number.
Okay.
And we are out of fee, David.
All right, as long as we're not negative.
Yep, no. As you can see, that doesn't populate over here in remaining balance, so it's not affecting bottom line number. So again, 781. This is with everything that we're tracking. So that's my budget update. Any questions on the budget report? If not, I'll move on to the approved change orders and pending.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just maybe we should talk about it in change orders. Is where are we with M. O'Connor? Because we don't have a rec tonight.
We do not know.
Okay, so, all right, maybe we'll take it up with change orders then.
Okay.
At the last meeting, there were some questions about I'm going to get it wrong, but the accounting. And I just was curious on whether or not the accounting has actually caught up.
Yeah, so Dick, or David, the questions were regards to FMA and Collier's invoicing. Phil, my director, had answered those questions to Dick, and yes, we are caught up.
So Dick, those questions are all answered in your mind?
Yes, Colliers we're all good on, and and FMA, that last invoice, from August, we're also good on, of which I approved or recommended for approval to be paid. But recommended for approval to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, it just hasn't caught up yet, and I don't know if we're gonna get to it at our next meeting, because we have the moderators meeting for the special town meeting, and then after that, we've got our regular business. I have not seen the agenda yet, so I don't know what's on it.
Okay,
Dave, if you'd like, we could do a reconciliation with the town to see if anything's out of the ordinary here, which we'll probably do shortly because of where we're at in the project anyways, coming to closeout. So,
No, if this building committee has looked at it and they're giving me a thumbs up, then
Mhm.
that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I,
Yep.
so that's why I wanted to ask the question of Dick.
yes, both of those have been, both the Colliers and the FMA, the ones we discussed at our last meeting, have been moved along just very recently. So that's, so that will hit your docket.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to, these are hard costs, approved change orders. Some of these are old. We'll go to the next sheet showing where we're at. So last meeting, we approved two, that added gravel at the generator and landscapes adjustments. So we're up to 891K for a total approved to date.
One of the questions, Trey, is we had talked about is categorizing these all 108 as to where the cause is the best word, but it's not the right word, but bear with me because I can't think of a better one. But what the cause is of these change orders. So in
Mhm.
other words, when M. O'Connor knocked open a wall and it was supposed to be brick, but it was cardboard, then that's on the town, the building, okay? That no one knew, they couldn't have known, that's that.
Yep.
But some of the change orders were not the fault of the building or the town. And it's going to be very helpful from our end to know and get on the same page as what was that. And so there were reasons next to all of these. And I don't see that reason column anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. So you're talking about how we track these, David. So we have a few different ways we track this: errors and admissions, field conditions, which you just mentioned, AHJ requests, for example, and then owner requests in general. So those are the four major ones that we do. I can share our contingency log. Like, this is just our change order log. Our full contingency log does show that breakdown, and then I also have a portion of that shows differentiating percentages of each what is categorized. I think that would be a helpful thing for me to share with you.
That would be great. If you could just send that over, I don't need to waste any more of anyone else's time.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Absolutely. All right, so pending. So we're down to 4 right now. 94, this is the retaining wall phase 2. I'm still waiting on revised pricing from M. O'Connor. I do see this number going down. PCO 107, level spreader additional stone. This is a PCO that we are seeking approval for tonight. This is at the level spreader between the butter and the community center property. A part of this is there was I want to say 12 to 10-inch gap between their fence and the property from what was originally proposed. So the additional stone brings that gap and closes it. Now, this was a part of what the town had told the butter that we would do. So this total is $3,128.44. PCO 106. This is the rain barrel and rain chain and barrel, which we had a discussion about at our last building committee meeting, if everyone recalls. Katie will provide a little presentation, I think maybe at the end here, kind of going over some different viable options for this. PCO 110, CMU wall painting. I am presenting this as to the committee to reject. Reason being is Katie and I are on the same page. It is called out in the drawings and is base scope and contractor owned. So this isn't a large number at $1,263.03. But again, we are in agreement, Katie, myself, that this is owned. So those are our hard cost pending change orders. Again, seeking
Excuse me,
approval.
Trey,
Yes, Carl.
you might want to explain where that wall is.
Yeah. Okay. So when you pull into the community center and you're doing the loop around, there is a generator that you'll see off of the service entry drive. The CMU wall is what is behind that generator. The work's been completed. They kind of went on their own and did this protest more or less. But again, this is owned.
So it's been painted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has. So this work was completed. Trey is correct. This was done under protest and they followed slips because they didn't believe it was their scope. It's an 8-foot tall CMU wall that is technically a blast wall because it's in between the electricity service and the generator. So it's basically the length of that little island to the side and 8 feet tall, and it's painted a lovely dark brown color. It's kind of a go away color.
Okay.
So again, seeking approval for the PCO 107 for the level spreader additional stone. PCO 110, again, presenting as to reject on these two that we have out today.
Okay. Is there, so we're voting on then just PCO 107 level spreader additional stone. So is there any more discussion on any other questions regarding PCO 107?
Well, it's part of the legal agreement that we have with that neighbor, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, correct. What this is the town's told the abutter that visually there would be, it would look the same as it was before the project started. The documents, the design documents, the elevations in the design documents left us with a gap on the bottom of the fence to the stone, so that it didn't look like it looked before. So we had to add more stone to close that gap, and that's what this PCO is for.
Well, this is probably about 20 minutes of Nina's time, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. With that, there's no more discussion, then I move that we recommend for approval to the Board of Selectmen PCO 107 level spreader additional stone in the amount of $3,128.44. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Are you in favor? David Billings,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
and I am a yes also. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you guys. So moving on to soft costs. So this is what we have approved to date, 586,658.52. The two from last meeting were the additional keyless entry and then the post wraps for the fence along the
Abutters.
gravity wall.
Yeah.
So next, these are what are pending. So the only one I'm seeking approval for is this additional fencing at the basketball court. We did have this number for you last building committee meeting, but the scope was wrong. So we talked with Colonial Fence, and we have reduced that scope. This is a total of $5,528. This PCO incorporates the north and south end, more or less where the basketball hoops are, proposing a 45-degree kind of dugout fence, hard fence, that matches the existing to make sure that balls aren't flying into the neighbor's backyard and to the parking lot. This includes labor, material, and it also includes them setting up scaffolding on the basketball court rather than them using a man lift, which would damage the basketball court.
And this would be done, this is not through the M. O'Connor, this is going to be contracted directly with the town.
That is correct, Dick.
Okay.
So it's gonna be chain link or netting?
It'll be chain link, David.
Wow. Okay.
It's more permanent, Dave.
Much more permanent, way less maintenance too.
Okay.
And as far as longevity of the product, is there one, is one better than the other, which will last longer?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, Dick, with regards to maintenance. I mean, coated black chain link fence will last a very, very long time compared to a mesh netting with wind, tree debris, ripping, that whole thing. So
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion on additional fencing at basketball court? If not, then I move that we recommend for approval additional fencing at the basketball court in the amount of $5,528. Is there a second?
Second.
Are you in favor? David,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Barry?
Yes,
And I'm yes as well. Okay, thank you, Trey. So I just wanted to ask a question though. So on these pending change orders of 305K, that's all captured in your budget sheet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Do we have a timeline of getting these kind of resolved, either one way or another? Just so that we can, we need to close out the project and get everyone done. Is there anything prevent us from either saying yay or nay on these?
We've got replacement trees, south side of lot. That's a 12 Whiting Road abutter.
I
That's
thought we had approved that a long time ago.
it's still, well, it's in the town council hands right now.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
so we really can't do anything more on that right now.
Gotcha.
Mark, we have these next the seat walls, the VE plantings, and the vertical trellis. Mark is working on pricing for. And we don't have that yet, so we have placeholders.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree, David. That would be
Okay,
great.
so this is something that Mark is taking on as opposed to Collier's.
That's how it's been left.
Okay. All
Present.
right, so it's in the town hands. It's not in the
Yeah.
project. Okay.
Now, ancillary items, Trey, maybe you can weigh in on that one. Are we pretty much through that one, or has that been?
Yeah, actually, I think I can get that 4,500, it's probably a little less than that. That was a placeholder. We have ordered all of those, so I could probably get that one completed.
Okay,
But on a lot of these, Dick, we know that the desire is there, such as the planting, the walls, and the trellis. The question is the when and the who and the how much. And how do we get it done? And I'm going to leave that up to you all, but it just seems to me, based on the painting contractor going down below and painting the foundation, and the fact that $20,000 ballooned into 371 on the VE landscaping, there's probably some savings to be had if we did this directly, the way you guys have done with the fencing contractor. I mean, that has been a genius move and has worked out very well for the town.
Yes, yeah, yeah. No, I hear both of you, and yes, it would be good to get this pushed along and off the list and finish up the project.
Because if we close out with the building project and there is X dollars left over, it doesn't mean that these items go away forever. It just means that they're going to be done with independent bids and hopefully significantly improved pricing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're striving for.
Mm-hmm.
okay, no, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess my last question would be, where are we with M. O'Connor, and have we gotten anything from them?
So yeah, I did receive pay app 26, David.
Okay.
They were billing for 545K. Majority of this, I'd say 99% of this is retainage.
Okay,
Now,
yeah, I mean, they're
I'm
done and they're, yep,
yeah, which I'm not comfortable releasing all of this retainage until I know the punch list is fully complete. Katie and me kind of had comments back and forth on this, and we're both on the same page there.
okay. No, that,
Um,
that sounds fine. Anything on delay claims,
To
schedule?
be honest, David Phil has been dealing with the delay claims for me, and I can get you an update.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That is something really of importance to the town, Trey. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, I don't. Yeah. 100% agree with you. I will make sure that we connect with Michael and through this whole process. Absolutely.
thank you.
So yeah, you'll notice that M. O'Connor's pay app is not in the invoices that we'll present shortly, and that is
Yep.
the reason being.
okay,
So I'm showing contingency here. So worst case scenario, we'd have 578K remaining with a total of 23.6% of it used. Construction, again, I just kind of touched on it. They're pretty much close. After this pay at 545, their remaining balance, including retainage, is only 79K for the total. So there was a huge chunk of their retainage that they were trying to ask for. So they're at 99.46% complete, and then the full project build out is at 96% complete. So with that, if there's no further questions, I'll move on to approval for invoices. So we have 7 invoices to present tonight. FMAs, design team architects, in the total of $11,217.46. Colliers project leaders, again, this is our last invoice for $5,761.25. Eagle Leasing, this is for August storage, $398. Aukers, the AV vendor. This is their final invoice for $2,175. Colonial Fence is for $35.99. And I think that's wrong. That is definitely wrong. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me get you the right number. It is $2,004. I apologize about that. Laprelle Painting. This is for the foundation painting that has been completed for $3,800. And then Max R. This is a supplier for $1,995. And this was for Park and Rec.
A quick question, La Pearl Painting also did the things up on the roof, the railing and the, I don't know what to call them, the vents.
The HVAC, yeah, the louver and the HVAC. You are
Yep.
correct.
Great.
And that's all part of that, that's all within that 3,800.
Exactly, exactly. I
That's-
just wanted to make sure it's been done.
Yep, absolutely. Been completed.
Dick, does it pass your muster or is at least it much better?
I personally think it's a huge improvement.
Great.
It doesn't flash, it doesn't catch my eye when I drive down the street. That's my opinion.
Excellent. Well,
And
yeah,
I will agree with you too, Dick.
so that's terrific. I can't wait to get back and see it.
Okay, is there, as far as discussion goes, I have not had a chance to review FMA's invoice, which I would like to do. I just must have come over, what, today or yesterday? So I'm not comfortable approving the FMAs. I have looked over Collier's, and that's all meets with my approval, as well as the other ones. Colonial Fence, I think you had that in your shared folder,
Yeah, it is in there, correct.
which I remember looking
Update the
through.
number for us? Just so
Yeah,
I-
it's I will absolutely. It's 2,000.
Okay.
I'm gonna add that right now to give
Okay.
you a total. for all
Dick, do
these
you want
numbers.
us to sort of do a approval for FMA contingent on your approval?
Yes, yep.
So we can approve the full amount, but you'll give the final okay to the selectmen.
Yeah.
It's 27,350.71.
27,000, what is it?
$350.71.
71 cents, okay. Okay, is there more discussion on monthly invoices? The August invoices? Okay, if not, then I move that we recommend for approval of the August invoices as listed on this slide. With the FMA invoice contingent upon the chair's approval, and with the revised number for Colonial Fence, for a total of $27,350.71. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, are you in favor? David,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
and I am yes as well. Thanks.
Great. So next was citizen comments. I don't know if we have anyone online, but and then finally was future business recommendation, and I'm gonna, Katie, do you just want me to share?
Yeah, that would be great, Trey, if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
I made you a co-host, Katie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So,
No,
So
I'm not
I bet-
prepared now. I'm, whew.
I do have it open, Katie, if you want me to
If
just.
you have it open, Trey, and don't mind, I'm happy to, if you can drive, I'll talk.
Okay,
That's-
so
that works.
just to butt in, yeah, we had the value engineering items and other, that the site furniture, is not delivered yet. It's on order. That is imminent. The plantings, when next time you go over, you'll notice that the plantings on the south side, the planting beds on the south side have been planted,
Oh, good.
which Mark worked on and got a local landscape company to do. So that's a really nice improvement. Obviously, we still have more landscape pricing and presumably work to go. And once we get the pricing, we'll be in touch with that, as well as the trellis and benches. Yes, and then the last item was based off of our discussions from last meeting, was what to do about the drainage on this north side canopy roof. So Katie has some more ideas.
Okay, so Trey, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
So we're looking at the north canopy, and so I'll note a couple things here. The metal column covers have been installed, probably since the previous photos we've shown. You can see some planting, and as was called out already, the painting of the 1910 foundation has happened. It's obviously off to the side of this shot, but if you actually, thank you for your pointing, Trey. If you want to go to the next one. This is just kind of stepping back a bit so you can see the planting. This is part of the contract scope. The column cover is installed there. And I think this is a little bit better view. You can kind of get more of the picture, but as you can see, everything on the foundation is still that off-white color. So it's not the darker color that's there now. And then if you go to the next page, this will kind of set it up. So there's kind of two circles here. You don't need to see too much detail, but the red one is really where water is coming. It's falling off of the scupper box. So for this canopy, what we originally owned was the scupper box and the roof. As we've talked before, part of ASI 7 added the downspout for the water to get off the roof. At that point, the intent was to move the granite curb over to a line so that the downspout would be landing right in the planting bed. That didn't happen. So that's kind of the story behind the story. That's kind of why we've been going back and forth. So, and I should say, as part of this conversation, that is one thing I didn't do a slide for, but that would be an option, which is we could remove this granite curb, move it approximately 18 inches to the left, cut the sidewalk. That downspout would be landing in the planting bed, or at least within that area, and it wouldn't be pooling on the sidewalk. So, sorry, the red circle, I'll say again, is where the water is falling.
Yeah.
And the green circle to the right is, it's a clean out. So there is an area drain within that planting bed. So we've got some foundation drains, and then we have two downspouts sort of in the back. They're kind of like the lighter brown color, one from the pavilion and one from the 1910 building. Okay, so if you go to the next slide. So hopefully this kind of makes sense. You can just see this is kind of diagrammatically. I'm just showing you where the water is coming down. Downspout 2 is in the back left. That's picked up from the pavilion. 1 is on the right. That's the 1910 building. And so we added that downspout. I'm showing it in white just so you can kind of see what it is, but it's landing right in the sidewalk. So we don't want the water coming from the canopy roof onto the sidewalk. The canopy is just about 100 square feet. And it is not connected to that back part. So that literally is just the kind of area that we're talking about. Okay, if you go to the next one. This is just a little bit we talked about last month. So what we had talked about was a rain barrel, decorative rain barrel with a chain. The chain would be connected to the scupper box. So this is a path of not having to do anything it's less invasive. We're not going underground. We're not touching the existing structure. We did talk quite a bit about rain chains and what they do and don't do. Obviously, it's open. So if water is dripping down and it's a windy day, water is gonna blow. So, well, we're, I guess on the other side, we're not connecting to anything underground. So, if the water is, we've got a really heavy rain, it's going to be going into that rain barrel. And eventually that could, overflow. If it fills up, it would need to be, manually, let some water out. And the pro side, this would help if you needed something additional for plantings. I heard the message last time that this was really not something, wasn't the path that you wanted to move forward with. So if you go to the next one, Trey, this is kind of, I heard the message last month, but this is sort of a variation of that, which is forget the barrel. The chain would go all the way to the sidewalk. As far as the work in the sidewalk, we would basically core out a hole in the sidewalk and create a dry well. So core out the concrete, put in some gravel, and then put a tree grate at the sidewalk level. So it would be flush. It wouldn't be a tripping hazard. It would also give us something to secure the rain chain. So it would be taut. The chain would be connected to scupper box. Once again, it is a rain chain. It's not an enclosed situation. So, water can be spraying and misting or, whatever the conditions are. And so this is just the black line is just showing that there'd be something underground, there'd be something that's connecting to. So like I said, it's a kind of a variation of what we talked about last month, but it's still a chain. The next one, I did put some letters here just so we can talk about them. So this is D. So this is the one I want to talk a little bit about more tonight. So ultimately the issue that we had here is, like I said, one, the downspout would be hitting on the sidewalk, which we don't want the water dumping on the sidewalk. So in order to route it back to the building, the scupper box is about 4 feet away from the building. So we're basically saying it's going to go back to the building. It's going to snake along the side with metal panels and then go down. So this is, the benefits here are if it's attached to the structure, you would just attach it to that, just like as you would any other gutter downspout. It doesn't really have to support itself. It's attaching to something else. When it gets to that corner, we do have a foundation drain along the original building. And there's, gutters, there's a boot you can see there. So what's underground right now is all in black. That is all connecting. That's part of the project. That's why we had that catch basin there. What we would be proposing is, and it's just kind of shown in bright blue, would be to install a structure underground that is gonna, it's another dry well. It effectively acts like a colander. So the water would come from the downspout. It would go into that. If it really was, if it was very saturated, and if there was an overflow, that could be connected to the existing piping that is already there. So what's down there right now, it's a 4-inch CPP pipe. We could connect to that pretty simply. It's a sub connection. There's the kind of the blue picture to the left is what that would look like. You just are attaching onto the existing. So this system would do this option would do a few things. So as I said, number one, the gutter would be a little bit simpler. We would, make it go away in a color that looks well with the metal panel. When it got down to the ground, it would connect to this dry well. And then that would again be connected to the existing system that's below there. So I'm going to call this belt and suspenders a bit, in the sense that we know that the soil is sand. It perks very well. That we're not really concerned about the drainage here, but this is giving you, it's taking away from the door and it's bringing it down into that planting bed area, and then connecting to that drainage. And the pipe that's kind of at the bottom is kind of coming towards us. So when you approach the site, the drainage is coming, farther away from the building. So this is one that, we think that makes a lot of sense. It's simple construction for the most part for the pipe, the gutter, and the downspout. It would be obviously some digging and some tapping onto the piping that's in that area. And I'll say more specifically, obviously the picture that you're looking at, you're not seeing the column cover and you're not seeing the planting. So this picture is from a few months ago. So anything that's happening on the right side of this page is going to require, moving in a couple of plants and putting them back in. But if we do want, and I'll say more specifically, we had a conversation today about, or earlier this week, about how do we really just make sure that the water is being mitigated, being brought away from the building, and if there's any other way to tap it onto something that's existing. So I just talked through those pretty quickly, and I'm happy to take questions, or if there's something more specific, we can go back and talk about any one of these.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I think, you know, Katie's has given us some options on that, and then what I'd like to do is to come out of this with giving her direction on which one to proceed with, if we can get there. It's interesting. My comments on them are the B, which was the downspout, which it was just straight down, seems to be very clean. But unfortunately, it would involve ripping up a section of the walk as well as the granite curbing. Then my mind goes to I'm not in favor of the rain chain per our discussions from our last month's meeting. And then I go to the next one, D, the gutter on the building. And I look at I think Katie done a nice job in explaining how this would work and depicting that in a drawing. And it, you know, it doesn't look so good in this drawing, but no, understanding the fact that it would be the same color as the cladding will make it, I think, disappear. And I put that together with the plantings which we have in that area, which aren't shown, you know, which obviously aren't part of this this picture here, but they're going to grow up and they're also going to start to take your eye away from that area. This to me, D, I think is probably from a construction standpoint makes the most sense. I would recommend though that it instead of it going to its own dry well, that it tie into the irrigation into our drainage system since it's right there. Why not? So cost, you know, then there's cost as well to weigh. This one seems like it would be a lot cheaper to do than having to rip up the sidewalk and the granite curbing. So my thoughts on it is a D is the one that I favor, and I'd love to hear what the rest of the committee thinks. David, do you have some opinions?
I always have opinions. What was the distance from the edge to the planter?
On the
And I'm
edge to
wondering
the
if we
planter.
could cantilever out the scupper.
Great question. So,
So,
if-
and then maybe do a chain, because then you're falling into the bed. And I did a very nice sort of detail. Actually, the Oliver Design Center at UMass Amherst has a extended scupper that cantilevers from the building. And look, you know, it's quite nice. But you need some structure in there to make it work.
you do, and I think so. It's just interesting that you said that, kind of like the adding on, but also into the bed. So I think there's a couple things here. One is, you know, if we originally the intent was that we just had the water, it was just daylighting. So that downspout was going into the planting bed and wasn't connected to anything else. So
Yeah,
we've had that conversation, and I understand the concern that, you know, the idea that that little planting area might turn into, things might get washed out. So if the mulch is getting washed out because there's too much water, you know, and I think that's how we're getting to that conversation of connecting to what's already there. So that's sort of one part is, I think, you know, just want to make sure that we're connecting all these dots. But so back to what you said, we have really kind of looked at that to figure out, okay, how do we just kind of have a, you know, cantilever it out and then go down. So where the column is, that is the line of the steel that goes straight back.
Yeah.
And then all of that parapet that's there is just overbuilt.
Mhm.
So that's about 2 feet from that
Yeah.
center line. And then in order to get it to the other side of the granite curb, it would be another 18 inches plus.
Can you
So-
scroll down because you've got the drawing there? Yep,
Yes, so
there it
this is the secret option E that we weren't gonna show. So just as a high level, you know, so if you look at that sort of that green piece, that would be a plate
know.
or some other kind of bent angle.
okay.
So it was, you know, and this is a little bit in the sense of, you know, how much do we have to peel back in order to then complete? So the parapet there, that work is done. So this would require, cutting back some of that work behind the scupper box to access that steel that's no longer exposed, connecting to that steel to then create that, sort of diving board type entity. So that's what the water can go out on. It would be, I'll say, 3.5 to 4 feet is really the total distance from that steel to where the downpipe, downspout, or whatever that is, would be to be within the planting bed.
It'd only be a 2-foot cantilever from the fascia.
From the fascia, yeah, the fascia is just,
Yeah,
formed
yeah.
steel, but yes, it would be 2 feet.
Okay. So it wouldn't look that much of a divot board, it'd just be an extended scupper.
Yeah, good point. I think where we've been kind of going back and forth on this is, it's and actually, Trey, if you can go back to maybe the second picture, the one that's kind of zoomed out a bit, it's probably really better to see this. There you go. Thank you. So this is good because this is what you're seeing when you're coming up from the building. So, right here, the storefront isn't looking quite as, it's not standing out as much, but we do have a lot of vertical lines. So the concern was if we're putting more vertical lines in here, is that kind of obstructing that view, or is that just making it look a lot messier? So if that is a downspout that's just going down straight, and it is, yeah, I said diving board. It's not as if this is, a huge cantilever. It's just there would need to be an extension to that scupper box to get it over into that bed.
Yeah,
To extend the scupper box, though, what's involved in, extending that scupper? It's not as simple as just putting a piece of sheet metal up there, is it?
I think on the low end, it would need to be some light gauge framing.
Yeah.
On the higher end, if we were going, obviously, and if it was diving board, so that board is extreme, then it would be steel. And so that would be kind of a different end. If we are able to, if they can build that with light gauge and if it needs to be, a little bit of plywood or something else to make it a little bit more rigid, that's probably the path of least resistance, with the least amount of invasiveness.
How much view would it block if you go back down to secret option E?
Yeah. So,
yeah, I wouldn't hard pipe it down, I'd just let it fall, if you're gonna do that. Is that would
Oh, I
just-
see what you're saying, David. Now I'm with you.
Yeah, at that point, maybe you do a chain or something. Cause it's
As
not a
long
lot
as
of
it's-
water,
Yeah,
but you just wanna get it off away from the sidewalk.
Yeah, there's 18
in the door.
In the door.
Yeah, cause it's just gonna get icy. I worry about this more in the winter than
Mhm.
rain. It's freezing rain and ice. That's what you wanna make sure that it gets into the bed. There's not a lot of water.
there isn't, but this, I appreciate we talked about this a bit, and I do understand, this is the front door, and we know it's a canopy, so it's covered, but this is not enclosed conditioned space, and rain can go sideways. So that's why I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out the best of both worlds here.
Well, any wind that can hit that area is going to hit it and then swirl. And so, if it could be a light rain and a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and that could become a wind tunnel. We don't know. But now I understand what David Billings is saying is like, oh, wait, if you just get it enough to the right, and even if it swirls and there's some spray, is that enough to keep it off the sidewalk and away from the door and the people trying to go in and out of the building?
I mean, again, it's just. an
Yeah,
idea.
more or less just don't picture this downpipe. Just think of this piece right here, just that. So it would dump into the bed here.
Right.
And yeah, and I would put a dry well underneath it or something, some gravel. My one problem with sort of your option D is, I mean, is it a gutter going back so it's open? Or is it just gonna be piping? Because it's all gonna freeze.
That's a good point. So, what you're seeing right here is relatively flat and there would need to be some pitch. So we were initially talking about, could we go over and then just actually attach to the 1910 building downspout, at a higher level? And I
I'll
just,
bring it around.
yeah, because there's already a downspout there. There's already a boot. It's already connected underground. It's more that with, with the metal panel, there's simple horizontal lines. I know this is going to be sloping. I just didn't do the math to make sure that we could get that pitch.
But is it a gutter or is it a pipe?
That's a
the
good
thinking.
question. I don't think I wouldn't want it to be an open gutter, which, and now I'm kind of understanding your question. I don't think it should be a gutter because that's just going to get full of leaves. I think it would need to be a pipe. So it is, I'm going to say a water slide, so it's covered. And it would want to be,
Except they freeze.
not picking up more. And your comment about freezing is a good one. That's where I would want it to make sure we had enough pitch so that it's not filling with water and then it's sitting in there, because then it'll,
it
you'll get
gets
that whole
really
thing
heavy.
backed up.
Right. You're gonna have to have brackets on the fascia, yeah.
Right. And so this is where you can, do a different material because you have something to attach to. In that option E, if we have something vertical, I mean, at some point that there really has to be self-supportive if you want it to be a pipe. So that's getting really thick. That's robust. It's because there isn't a column or something for me to attach onto. So this is where, in some ways, D is a little bit simpler, but I am concerned about it just looking, fussy. This is the front door. This is not the back door where we can hide some things.
Yeah.
The other issue with the chain, having raised 3 boys, 2 of which are listening to this conversation right now, and they're going to want to climb it. So if you're going to have that off of a 2-foot extension, that's going to have some structural support, because you're going to get a 60-pound kid who's going to want to go up it.
So if we can convince Mark to set up like a ropes course out here and do some kind of a that would be ideal.
Parkour off the roof onto the chain.
American Ninja Warrior, something like that, I'm
Exactly.
thinking.
Yeah.
Ruth,
Yeah, and forgive me, but that's more or less what this detail would show, would be the rigidness for that to allow that. This is by far the most invasive one.
It's the most invasive, and I think because I'm kind of trying to make 2 things self-supporting, I do think that vertical element, whatever that is, would be ductile iron. It would be a pipe.
Yeah, that would.
And
Yeah.
that's, this is the part where I kind of pause because I can't paint that with invisible paint. Like there's only so much we can do to make it go away.
Yeah.
And it's how far off the building? It's like
It's
a foot and a
4
half?
feet from that darker brown metal panel. You've got 4 feet to
well, coming from the face of the building out to the scupper.
From metal panel to scupper.
Yeah, coming towards you.
it's a couple
It's
feet.
not as though that the scupper is against the.
It's not. It should be, well, it's supposed to be 4 feet per the shop drawings. I'm
okay,
looking at
so
some measurements. It might be closer to 3.5.
So it's gonna have to go 4 feet back and then across the face
Yep.
of the building and then
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, she's showing that here, back
All right.
across.
Yeah, I almost at that point wanted to do a gutter that goes all the way across. But
Well, it
I-
appears
I-
that this one that's showing right now is the simplest, least invasive method. I think if we left it open, eventually some of that water is going to end up on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got to control the water. And,
Yeah.
and
It's
you
only
just-
100 feet though. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of water.
No,
So
it's
the simplest way to get rid of it is probably this way, as you said, Dick.
Yeah, it isn't a lot of water, but I share what David Billings was saying, to me, it's that winter storm where you get a deluge of rain and snow and everything starts to, and the wind swirls and everything, and all of a sudden you get ice in front and right at your front door. And
Oh,
that's why,
that's right.
that's why I think there's gotta be a positive control on, with the water. So that's why, yeah, it'd be great to be able to just, extend extend it a little bit and then have it fall to the ground, but I just, I worry about the ice building up in the winter time, so
Yeah.
I don't, so that's why I didn't
Okay.
favor, pursuing that one. But I do hear you about the freezing pipe and also, leaves, pine needles getting in there,
Mhm.
which,
Yeah.
they sit there, and then, of course, that helps that leads to also the water backing up and freezing, and there is that's a very good point.
Well, if
Um,
this is going to be enclosed, Dick, it should prevent the leaves, other than coming from the little patch of roof itself. And for whatever very little it's worth, we have open gutters replacing all of our scuppers. And I'm very reticent to utter these words for jinxing myself, but we've not had a problem so far. And it's been 20 some odd years.
hmm. Ruth, do you have any comments?
I would say that I'm thinking the same as Dave about the chain, that I think that's going to tempt
Yeah. That's true.
play. I like the idea of this. Is there any way that a filter could be put at the top to stop the majority of leaves and pine needles?
I don't see why not.
Which option are you referring to, Ruth?
Option D, sorry. And
Yeah.
then putting a filter at the top of there to stop any of the leaves and pine needles, or as many as possible.
So I think we could definitely put a filter, and I'm now realizing so the pavilion structure off to the left, the community room, that has a enclosed gutter. So, and I appreciate, now I understand, David Billings, when you were asking gutter or pipe, I was thinking of a gutter that had I'll say a roof on it that's totally enclosed. So what we're looking at here, I think if we're coming off of the scoper box, I think this whole thing would need to be covered. It would need to have a top because I'm taking water from that roof. I don't need to pick up additional water, as it's coming along there. But I think putting some kind of a screen at the top of the scrubber box makes a lot of sense because the roof is going to pick up, pine needles, leaves, whatever. And if they'll flow down there and get stuck in the horizontal part, that's where it'll back up.
And I suppose this is definitely where like the water is flowing off this way. It couldn't be taken the other way.
Yes, unfortunately, we had that conversation, and at that point, realistically, and we had this conversation some time ago, but in order to flip everything to the other side, it would be redoing the entire roofing membrane and all the insulation below it to change the slope. So
Got it. Sorry.
that was a
we missed
large
that last
number
week.
that I don't want to even think about.
No.
What's Katie, as our designer, architect, which one do you favor?
Well, I have thoughts on all of them. I generally I'm looking at these in kind of the pros and cons list, and so I appreciate hearing everyone's thoughts because some of this is, sometimes you're kind of everyone's kind of watering something down to something that no one likes, but it sounds like at least there's a couple that are, feel like they would work. I personally am of a fan of the rain chain, but I very much hear the comments and the concerns about, different weather and is that really going to be protecting? Like I said, I'm looking at this as a canopy, so this is where you're standing. If it's raining, you're standing underneath it and you're not getting wet. But realistically, if it's a big rain or snow, it's not conditioned. So water coming off of that rain chain to me was not something that I was really concerned about before. But like I said, I've heard it now and I can appreciate it's a combination of rain blowing, but also the deterring a nuisance kind of a part, because it would look, if it looks interesting and you want to go touch it, I can totally recognize someone wanting to pull on it. So that's one where I'm probably leaning more towards D at this point because I think it checks enough of the boxes for you. That's, like I said, you know, I based on all of these options, I'm still kind of wrapping my brain to figure out if there's some other way to keep the downspout where it is at the scupper box and connect to the bed. The problem is if we keep it in that spot, it would need to be so robust in its thickness and engage that just feels like it's going to be, you know, more ominous and it's going to look like the metal column cover. So at some point that downspout just gets too large. I guess my original one, I liked the rain barrel primarily for the simplicity because it was it's fairly plug and play, less invasive. That said, you know, all the conversations about connecting to the water drainage, those all make perfect sense. I don't think it's a bad decision to do that. This was more of me kind of weighing time, money, and checking enough of the boxes. And I just gave you a non-answer by saying I like all of them. So
I think my worry with the rain barrel is that you've got the overflow, so somebody's got to be checking it manually. You've got the flowers that somebody's got to be checking. So we might pay for that and do it, and then find that we've got to do something more later on down the line. I mean, I don't particularly like it, that many of the vertical ones. I think the reason I like the D is that it goes along and hopefully will be hidden. And like you said, with the plants and the plantings growing up, that's what's going to detract our eye from that. So I feel like it's the less invasive as well in terms of sightline.
that's a good point because we're not obstructing the view, the glass at all. So that is a good way of keeping that clean.
From inside as well.
Yeah, I feel like with the other verticals, there's so many then that it gets messy. It's not designed to be that many. It was designed to lead your eye in without having extra ones coming out at the side.
Okay. So what do you think? I, on this one, I think I'm in favor of the D. It sounds like Ruth, you're in favor of the D. David, sounds like you're not in favor of D.
I'm not really in favor of it, but I think it will work as long as we detail it right. I think effectively it'll be the cheapest to execute. So
This one would be the cheapest one to execute.
yeah, I know, but that one actually it creates a problem. You gotta find a way to get in the water away from the entrance.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
D is the most functional one. And then probably the cheapest.
We forgot to mention that D is Carl's favorite. I didn't present it that way. Just we waited until after the voting. So I didn't put names on them, but each of these letters did have a author.
I
D is
think I
Carl's.
suggested that in Tuesday's meeting.
You did.
Yeah.
I have a question. What happens if the rain barrel freezes, which eventually will happen in the winter?
Well,
And then we have a rain after that. Where is the water going to go if the rain barrel is all frozen?
So the rain barrel basically, so it has the rain chain, connect to the top and it goes into the rain barrel. If the rain barrel is totally full of ice and we get rain and it hasn't quite frozen, the water would probably fall down and it would probably spill over the top. So what you see in the left is this one has an option to put a plant in it. You can have one without a planter. It can just be, a rounded top. But if the chain was connecting and water was coming down, but it was, full of pine needles or leaves or ice or water, the water would, shoot off the top.
And
Onto
follow
the sidewalk.
Onto the sidewalk. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be just like any other kind of a vessel that you have. If it's full of water, everything is gonna, there's nowhere for it to go.
And there will be a lot of days that it doesn't get above freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think those are the days that we would be at risk with the rain barrel.
I mean, the other reason why I looked at this as an option was talking about, we had the conversation early in the spring about watering for the sod and the trees. And so knowing long-term that this might give you a little bit of, opportunities to water some planting beds without having to go to the hose bed. But that's not a solution for your whole building. I don't have rain barrels all over. So it was really just trying to kind of get two things to cover each other.
Right.
And that's also the north side. So it doesn't get a lot of sun.
Correct.
So do you, Barry, do you have an opinion on which one you think would be best?
Well, I think the rain barrel is attractive, but I would worry about the weather implications with that. And this one, the one on D has a lot of corners to it.
Yep.
I agree that it could be well hidden and blend in with the building. But I just wonder about that right angle that the water has to make on, again, freezing days. So maybe that would have to be a rounded piece that doesn't clog as much. So I would think that D would be the least expensive and the most functional under the possible circumstances.
Okay, okay.
You could do a 90 long sweep on that 45.
Yeah,
It'll all be custom, so
Right.
it's whatever, Katie, you
right.
you and your you think's gonna be best for promoting drainage.
Yeah, Bear, your comment is I understand what you're saying, because really I'm kind of showing, and I'm showing two 90-degree turns, so we can put a little sign up that says water goes this way. But I think this is going to be a combination of detailing it so we have it's more of a gentle curve and getting the right pitch in there too, so it's not leveling out. And
Right.
yeah, I think curving the angles, we're going to have that.
Okay, well, it sounds like we've got a consensus for D. So Katie, if you could pursue that that option, that'd be wonderful.
Would you tie it into that existing downspout on the 1910 building?
So I'll just kind of run the numbers there, Carl, to see if we can get the pitch. So
Okay.
yeah, where it looks mostly horizontal, there would need to be some kind of a pitch.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of a pros and cons. So we would, we can either have it do another 90-degree to turn and plan to pick up to the 1910. That's going to be a, path of least resistance. It's a little bit less run, and we already have something going underground. But I would want to look at that and just kind of see where it's lining up. It might have to, go over, and then we can where the original rubble foundation is. That because it kind of kicks out.
Away from it, yeah.
That looks like almost a better, like I'm trying to figure out what the best place is to get from A to B, without making it do 12 turns. But yeah, I'll definitely see what I can get for the pitch, because if, I'd rather simplify it, and then if that all is above ground and we're not having to do anything underground, that would definitely be simpler as far as, constructability, because we're just tapping onto downspout that's already there.
Yeah, and reduce cost.
Okay. All right, so we've given you a little homework to do, Katie.
Okay.
Thank you for this, for putting these options on the table.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Okay, it's yeah, future business directions, future meeting dates. Next, the second Monday of October is the 13th, which is Columbus Day.
Mhm.
So we cannot do Columbus Day. I was informed on another previous meeting, we had scheduled on a holiday, that we shouldn't do that again. How's Tuesday, the 14th look for everybody?
Fine.
I cannot do that day.
You can't do that one, okay?
No. I could do Wednesday the 15th, Thursday the 16th.
Okay, how about, why don't we look at the 15th then?
That's fine.
Does that work for you, David? Ruth? Is
Yeah,
that, would the
all good
Wednesday,
for
the
me.
15th work? Yep. Barry, would the 15th work for you?
I think so. It's hard to say
Okay,
because of other meetings, but
yeah.
we'll see.
Right now it's open, Barry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, soon to change. So quick, book it, Dick.
Okay, we're on for the 15th. October 15th, next meet will be our next meeting. Okay, is there anything else? If not, then I move that we adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second,
Are you in favor? David,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Barry,
yes,
and I'm a yes as well. Thank you all very much.
Have a
okay.
wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Hope to see people on
Right.
Saturday.
See everyone
Definitely.
Saturday. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Ray, are we still on for tomorrow?